The United States has indicted former Cuban President Raul Castro on charges of murder over the downing of two planes in 1996. It's yet another escalation in the Trump administration's aggressive campaign against Cuba, which has been suffering under continued U.S. sanctions. And there are concerns this latest move could be part of broader efforts to force regime change in Cuba. Guadalupe Correa-Cabrera is a Latin American political analyst at George Mason University and joins me now from Mexico City. Good to have you with us today. Firstly, why is the U.S. pursuing these charges now? What's there to gain if Castro, at this stage at least, is unlikely to get extradited?
Well, it's a part of a greater strategy because the Trump administration is combining legal pressure, which is this event sanctions, energy pressure, public diplomacy, and symbolic military signaling to isolate Havana and encourage internal political change. In reality, this is part of pressure and big campaign before the midterm elections.
Yes. The current Cuban president, he's saying that the indictments appear to justify intended military action against Cuba, as you suggest. How soon do you think might this happen? And do you legitimately think that the U.S. is laying right now the groundwork for regime change?
I do believe that it's something that there are so many actions happening. The attention is in Cuba. This adds to blackouts, food shortages, sanctions in Cuba. It's about it's about regime change. It's intensifying the severe crisis with the legal pressure and everything else. This is about the revolutionary regime that needs to die in a way. This is symbolic more than, this particular indictment of Raul Castro. It's the end and it's a beginning, or this is the intention of the U.S. government.
So looking a little bit back in history, what is Cuba's defense in the downing of those two light planes back in 1996?
Well, they got very close to the island. They were doing political, they were supposedly, dropping leaflets and participating to also, undermine the regime. And that was also the response of the Cuban government had to do with separating themselves from those that were connected to Miami and the exiles that were trying to do regime change. That was something, and they were, close to the island at that time. That was kind of like what drove the shutdown of the 1996 Brothers to the rescue.
Yes. So while these this indictment and naval blockades and sanctions are happening, of course, Cuba is in a crippling energy crisis. How bad is the situation there at the moment?
Is really bad. It's a crisis that adds every day to an already ongoing economic crisis, energy crisis, infrastructure is dying. It's probably a good moment, according to the U.S. government, to do this because people have been leaving massively. The number of refugees that have left Cuba and that continue leaving Cuba and probably not arriving to the United States, but other countries like Mexico. It's huge. The situation is really, really extreme.
Yes, of course, Cuba is then blaming this on those U.S. sanctions that are threatening nations that supply fuel to Cuba. And of course, there's the naval blockade as well, as I mentioned earlier. Does it effectively render Cuba's allies like Russia and China powerless to help Havana?
It's difficult. It's difficult to say. We'll see what happens in the coming months. I think that the United States made a calculation, but China never says what they're doing, and Russia has a lot to lose here too. So it's difficult. It's difficult to say. The situation is really bad, and of course, it's the United States government is calculating that, and nobody wants to deal with such a country with so many needs and the kind of infrastructure it has, but it's strategically located. So it's difficult to say. Let's see, because the response of the of the Cuban government to what happened with Raul Castro's indictment, at least on paper, is pretty strong as well.
So now I do wonder what Cubans would make of Marco Rubio's offer of $100 million in aid, because then he's now blaming Cuba's leaders for these crippling food and fuel shortages.
Well, I mean, I have talked to so many people that have fled Cuba, along the migration route in my own work, and it seems that many people are desperate. So it's probably a good moment, but let's see how Russia and China or participate or push for the maintenance of the status quo. I think it's a good moment. People in Cuba are desperate, at least from what we can all see, and the island and infrastructure and food and energy shortages is. It's the situation is probably unbearable.
Yes, and
But
it
we'll
looks
see.
like it is in a very critical juncture as well. Guadalupe Correa-Cabrera, really appreciate your analysis today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.